Alright boys, we're gonna check out the video over here right now. It's a video about retail and Midnight WoW. We just saw the whole developer interview thing, for anybody who's tuning in late. This is a video by Taliesin and Evitel, by the way. We have concerns about Midnight. This one came out 1 day ago, so like before the whole developer stuff, Q&A and deep dive. But let me know what they have to say.
This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Holy shit, that was loud to me, dude. Holy.
Hello Internet, Taliesin here, and today we are talking World of Warcraft Midnight. WoW's new expansion coming early in 2026, which honestly looks great. It's got Xal'atath, Silvermoon, Angry Xal'atath, Voidy Demon Hunters, Happy Xal'atath, Haranir, and if you really like zoom in on that one specific shot in the trailer, Xal'atath's feet. I mean, seriously, what's not to love? Well, I'm glad you asked that actually, because today we are specifically talking all the things we currently don't know about Midnight and which we are just a teeny tiny little bit concerned by. Now, the good news is there is more information coming out all of the time. As we record this, there is a big deep dive scheduled for the launch of the alpha test next week. The Chris Metzen and Ian Hazakostis hosted WoW Direct style video that frankly was the central source of information that the initial Gamescom reveal for the expansion was very much missing. And so, you know, it's very likely that lots of the concerns raised in this video might be answered and put to bed then. Or
Ayo, I just came up with that, so I can just stop this one and talk if there's anything that has been talked about in that Q&A. I'm like basically right now reacting to Taliesin from a week ago, because for some reason they made the video last week and uploaded it yesterday. So I guess it took 6 days to edit the video. Either way, we have seen the whole Q&A thing and a deep dive, and the one thing I can say is that on Gamescom, the information was number one, lackluster, and also so spread out. You had to you had to go watch one interview to find a little bit of information, watch another interview, read a webs article, listen to a podcast, watch 10 YouTube videos, talk to Ian personally, send some texts. Like you had to scour the newspapers and do everything in between to find small bits of puzzles to like make the story together about what was happening. They just like left little tidbits everywhere, and you had to go out and actively find them. It was so hard to find all the information available because they couldn't have it all in one place. And I think that's what this deep dive was, by the way. It was less of a deep dive and more of a, we are sorry about Gamescom. Here, have it all in one place.
Or they might just be confirmed. Either way, join us for all these things that we just can't stop worrying about when it comes to World of Warcraft Midnight, okay? Go, 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 go. Flying. It's hard to exaggerate what a pleasant and important surprise being able to fly from the start of Dragonflight and then after the War Within was. Firstly, because dragon riding was really cool, but mostly because it flew in the face of pretty much every rule that Blizz had spent the last 3 expansions establishing in what I like to call the AP era. Remember, in Shadowlands, BFA and Legion, flying didn't even
I don't ever want to hear about AP again, bro. Artifact power into Azeroth power into like, what did we have after? We had something else with A as well in Dragonflight, I think, but like we've gone through way too many powers, man. Just way too many powers. Even Shadowlands, we had Anima power. So they stuck with the meme, by the way, of AP all the time. Went from artifact power to Anima power to Azeroth power. How many APs we gonna shuffle through? Artifact power was fine? Absolutely not. It was not fine. It was fine at the end of the expansion, at which point it had done too much problem. And do you know why it wasn't not fine? You could basically, anybody who played the game 16 to 17 hours per day, could get 2 or 3 ranks above anybody who did not do that, which gave them effectively a 3% DPS increase, which to the regular player does not mean much, sure, but to anybody who's competing, they were basically forced to play the game 16 to 17 hours per day, which you can say whatever you want about, the game should not cater to hardcore people, but when you give people the option to play the game repeatedly and obtain player power, they will. People care more about like their throughput right now than ever before. There's a reason why we have logs, DPS meters, we have like weak auras based on optimizing, we even have the one button rotation in retail that is meant to, even if you don't care about optimizing, you're still meant to be optimizing. So Asteroid Power at launch sucked big balls, the biggest balls in the world, just gargled those balls. At the end of the expansion, they kind of fixed it to a certain degree, or for the most part at least, they fixed it, but it was way too late. Way too late. I quit over it. Legion was the first time ever where I quit WoW, and fully never intended to come back. I did end up coming back, sure, but it was the first and only time that I have actually quit the game, hard uninstalled, and just like deleted everything. Fully expected not to come back.
Lock until the second major patch. Heck, in Warlords, they didn't even want to put flying in at all, and only caved later because of the ferocious player backlash. So, when Dragon Riding was announced, we all expected it to be that expansion's AP equivalent. Something that we would be grinding and upgrading throughout the expansion, taking multiple major patches to even be functional, let alone fun. But no, that's not what it was like. There was no dicking around. You got to play the new feature, fully upgradable, with no limitations from the very start, and it felt huge because it showed players that the devs weren't lying about learning the big lessons. The game was, in fact, different now. And Midnight looks to be continuing the player-first era of WoW that started in Dragonflight and taking it even further. So I think we all expect flying to be available from the very start of leveling in Midnight, just like it has been in Dragonflight and WoW Within. Dev interviews have certainly hinted that that will be the case, and it's something we will have definitive confirmation on the second we step into Alpha next week. So my concern here might surprise you a little bit, because actually, I don't want flying from the start. I think it's awesome that Dragonflight and the War Within made such a ballsy statement of intent with flying, and those two expansions are all the better for it. But I'm at the stage now where I honestly believe Midnight would benefit from doing the leveling campaign at ground level. And I know many of you have just done a little sick in your mouth at the very thought of no flying at the start of a WoW expansion in 2026, but hear me out. Eversong Woods looks beautiful. Zula Man is...
I love how the music just cut from being super hype to being like super chill. But also, I'm just gonna like voice my stuff here. I don't care. Whether we get flying or not, I don't care. I'm gonna enjoy the launch no matter what, and I can see both sides of this. Like, sure, if you're not flying, the world seems bigger, and you probably spend more time leveling as well, you pay more attention to certain things, but also if you have flying, you can just do the things. I don't know, like, to me, in retail, it doesn't make much of a difference. I'm gonna have fun no matter what, so to me, this one is not a big concern, but yeah, like, whatever they end up with, I'm content. I'm super in the middle here. I'm not, like, more happy if one happens than the other one. I truly don't care.
Stunning. Harandar is very rooty, I guess. And look, I don't know what on earth is supposed to be going on with Voidstorm, but I look at these new zones and I think I would really like to explore them on foot, you know? I kind of miss that feeling of getting to know every nook and cranny of a new zone during leveling before I get to take off and ignore all the little details. I love the zones in Dragonflight and War Within, but if I'm completely honest, I don't know them as well as I do zones from previous expansions that I...
In Dragonflight, though, we had to play on foot a little bit, right? But we did unlock flying quite early, which in Dragonflight kind of made sense, because that was it was one of the main features of Dragonflight, right, to get flying. I think, if I recall correctly, you played the game for anywhere from 30 minutes to 1 hour, and then unlocked flying, depending on like how fast you are as a person. So to me, it took like half an hour-ish, and then I had flying. Because you do about, you did 2 or 3 chapters of the quest chain in the Waking Shores, and then you had flying. I do probably think that, once again, I can see the benefits of both, by the way, because like some people absolutely do want to have flying, and they don't want to be on the ground. But if you are on the ground and you're ground bound, you pay more attention to the zone, to the stuff around you, and the world once again feels bigger. At least if you do it on the first character, you have a different perspective of the world, because now you have gone through it on foot.
Quested around initially on a ground mount, and that feels weird to admit. I'm concerned that we are beginning to lose something in the leveling and questing experience by having flying enabled from the very start, basically. And if Blizz were to come out in their big alpha reveal video and say there is no flying during Midnight's leveling campaign, then actually I would be very in favor of that. Now, this stance does come with a very specific caveat, that flying is unlocked the minute that I complete the campaign and hit max level. No waiting around for another patch. I complete the story campaign at launch, I can fly now, and so can all of my as yet unleveled alts too. This is the player first era after all. But in that scenario, yes, I think Midnight would benefit greatly from holding off handing the dynamic flying reins to players at launch. And if you hate this idea, which I suspect you might, don't worry, because I'm pretty sure it is not going to happen, which is why this is a concern that I have. I get the feeling Blizz is totally on your side with this one, and we'll be swooping around like no one's business from the very start.
Of course, Midnight will give us the much anticipated Devourer Demon Hunter, a new voidy Demon Hunter specialization which lets us do great new voidy Demon Hunter things just like you always wanted, and Void Elf Demon Hunter options to do it with. I don't know if I've ever felt like I needed a
Am I crazy, by the way? But like, how? I didn't even realize that Void Elves could not be Demon Hunters. I just took it by default that they could be, because we have Night Elves and Blood Elves, so I feel like all Elves are able to be Demon Hunters. But I guess Void Elves were never able to. It's a good thing now they are, but like, how was that not there by default from the start? Not me trying to be negative, by the way, I'm just genuinely wondering.
Demon Hunter that could throw void meteorites, to be honest, but I was born needing Demon Hunters who could grow saucy little beards like this, so I'm happy with Devourers. My concern, though, is that a new specialization for an existing class is all very well and good, but it's not a new class, is it? And I hate to do this, but I'm going to tap the sign. All the best WoW expansions have had a new playable class.
Have they, though? I mean, let's look at this. Wrath of the Lich King, yes. Legion, yes. I'm not there's two here that I'm not gonna give it to. Dragonflight and Mists of Pandaria. I'm sorry, I'm just not giving it to you. Mists of Pandaria had the monks. Mists of Pandaria sucked. Two of the raids were good. But seeing like Mists of Pandaria Classic now, you can see where it's going. And Mists of Pandaria back in the day was pretty goated, to be fair. But I just don't know. There's something about replaying it that just doesn't hit the same. But even back then as well, it wasn't the most super loved expansion of all time. It really wasn't. You had a bunch of people quit simply due to pandas. They were like, Kung Fu Panda, what the fuck is this? I leave, I jump, I go my way. We had so many people leave WoW due to like Kung Fu Panda stuff. And the Dragonflight, it was a good transition from Shadowlands. Because let's face it, Shadowlands did a lot of things wrong. But I feel like Dragonflight wasn't super good. It just looked super good because Shadowlands was trash. But Wrath of the Lich King and Legion, I'll give you those two. But I kind of want to put Burning Crusade there as well. And no new class in the Burning Crusade, man. Also, for me personally, no new class in Warlords of Draenor, man. Like, hello. Best expansion of all time, hello.
Wrath, Mists, Legion, Dragonflight, all bona fide top-tier expansions, all with a new class.
I'm gonna go back and replay this. What did you just say?
Had a new playable class. Wrath, Mists, Legion, Dragonflight, all bona fide.
Mists of Pandaria, really? I can see why a bunch of retail Andes do like the Dragonflight, and I enjoyed Dragonflight as well. I'm just saying it wasn't like top tier expansion, was it? A couple of the raids were kind of cool. The race to World First was cool. Dragonflying was cool. But overall, I think it seemed cooler than it was due to Shadowlands being garbage. And Mist of Pandaria, I'm just not giving it to you. There's 2 out of 4 here that I agree with, and that is Wrath and Legion. But even Legion as well had such a rocky start, but became good at the end, or the later half.
Top tier expansions, all with a new class. Dragonflight's class even managed to be a little bit shit, and it still didn't matter. The very existence of Evoker was enough. And we want Midnight to be a Stone Cold Classic expansion, so in all honesty, we kind of need it to have a new class, don't we? There's another new sign I can tap, which is even more concerning, by the way. New classes are famously introduced on a 2 expansion schedule. And the only time they haven't met that 2 expansion schedule is Shadowlands. Or was Shadowlands, because now it's Midnight as well.
Yeah.
Scared yet? I know, this is unfair. We don't just have Devourer to kind of scratch the new class itch, but we've got a whole...
By the way, guys, I want to ask you guys, if we were to get a new class right now, which class would that be? Even if you don't have a name for it, give me like a description of what the class would be like. To me, there is one class that I personally would like to see, and that is a Chronomancer type class inspired by, well, chronomantic magic, and also be able to heal. It's kind of like a Season of Mastery mage who's healing, but also a bronze magic DPS. Like a Chronomancer, using bronze magic for DPS and also healing. It's kind of Evoker-ish, but at the same time not Evoker. It's a mix between mage and Evoker. That is one that I would love to see. I would also love to see a summoner type class, which, I mean, we already have warlocks, but I feel like I want to have something that is more summoner than warlock, if that makes sense. Just full-on summoner, warlock. Just tapping into summoning things would be crazy.
Whole new allied race too in the Heronir, which Shadowlands didn't have. But what do you think? Is that enough?
Apex talents. In every single expansion reveal, it's usually pretty easy to identify the thing that might be shit about the expansion. And it's usually the thing that we have the least information or details on. So in BFA, it was obvious to me that Warfronts might be the thing that's shit. And they can't.
Yeah, they did. Oh yeah, I paused while you're upside down, so I'm just gonna keep you there for a bit, so try to keep that blood flow going. But also, they were shit. Warfronts was such a flop, man. How do you guys feel about Warfronts? Because I was so hyped for Warfronts, by the way. I don't know why I was, but I mean, I guess it was a new feature, right? So I saw this, it sounded cool. I was like, oh dude, this is gonna be so great. I played a couple of Warfronts and I realized, this is shit. It was so bad, dude. Oh, I did end up doing quite a few of them for achievements, and I think it was a mount as well, attached to one of the achievements or something weird. So I did a couple, but I did them begrudgingly.
Kinda were. Torghast was the thing that might be shit about Shadowlands. Dragon riding was the thing that might be shit about Dragonflight. And Delves was what I thought might be the thing that was shit about War Within. This time, I'm tempted to say the prey system.
You're trying to say Delves were shit? Am I just gonna mute this video right now while he speaks, or what?
But I'm gonna go ahead and say Apex talents are the thing that might be shit about Midnight. Expanding the talent trees, giving players more stuff, I like the basis of the idea behind Apex talents for sure, but as a general concept, they seem way more vague, way more directionless and harder to grasp than, say, hero talents were. They genuinely feel completely pointless to even talk about before they're testable on the alpha, which they won't be until max level testing in phase 4, because there's nothing to really discuss about them as an idea. The discussion is only ever going to be, what is the specific one for your spec, and do you like it or not? And that's not very exciting for a new system in my mind. Now the good news is that compared to the things that might be shit about other expansions, Apex talents are also not not relatively impactful and easily fixable and tweakable. Warfronts being a bit boring was kind of unsalvageable. Torghast needed to be completely disconnected from its initial legendary player power reward system to get anywhere near its potential as a fun gameplay mode. Dragon riding and delves turned out to be huge successes, but if Blizz had dicked up dragon riding in particular, it would have had a disastrous impact on the entire expansion. Apex talents though? I mean, if they're boring, that's a shame, but they shouldn't really break the game because most issues that will possibly arise with Apex talents could be solved with just class tuning. So really, Apex talents should probably be the thing that might be uninspiring about Midnight. Either way, I'm still concerned.
Character customizations. Hey, did you know that Taliesin was completely wrong about there being no Haranir in Midnight? And actually, not only are there loads of Haranir in Midnight, but we have playable Haranir in Midnight? How wrong is it possible to be? Whatever is the most amount of wrong, that's how wrong Tali was about the Haranir. And these guys look great if you like trolls that are also kind of porcupines and have hair in places you wouldn't expect. But all these great customizations also serve to highlight another concern we have about this new expansion. What about customizations for other races? The last big customization revamp was in Shadowlands, and whereas some of us did very well out of those updates, like humans and night elves, others weren't quite as lucky, and some felt flat out neglected. If you were a panda, you basically had a headband to look forward to. If you were a Nightborn, then f you. Like, seriously, f you. Off. And since our video about those new Shadowlands customizations is now 5 years old, it's starting to feel like it might be time to have another go around with some of these. This is a Blood Elf expansion in many ways, isn't it? Wouldn't it be nice to, I don't know, maybe have seriously like any new Blood Elf customizations? Cooltier in humans and Vulpera will be nudging 8 years old, which is over 60 in Fox years, with no updates by the time Midnight launches. Mechanomes are going rusty over here. Somebody help the Nightborn, please. Now, there is reason to be optimistic about this concern, especially if you play a Darkspear troll. Paul Cubitt confirming that certain new customizations made for those characters will be unlockable for you on the completion of the Amani part of the campaign. He only mentions hairstyles specifically, so be wary of AI summaries lying to you about beards confirmed for trolls. But, I mean, it should mean beards too, right? It should mean these cool orc-feeling body shapes, right? It should mean this beautiful beefy prey boy, right? Well, it should, but that doesn't mean it will. As for the other races, it feels likely Blood Elves might end up with something new by the end of the expansion, but there's no indication there's going to be another Shadowlands level influx of new customizations anytime soon.
Housing.
Hello,
Am I the only one who feels like the, I mean, actually, have they data mined what the last raid of Midnight will be? Because to me, I feel like the last raid is going to be Silver Moon City. Salatath takes over the city, like, makes it all dark, and we have to save the city, basically. Somehow.
Beautiful people, September is here, and if there ever was a back-to-school lover, it's me. I'm her. This month is about energy and inspiration, and thankfully, there is no shortage of that on Squarespace, who are sponsoring today's video. If you're ever feeling stuck, there's actually a whole series of real-life websites made by real-life people where you can see what they've made using Squarespace. I know, I thought I was the be-all and end-all of website design, but there you have it. Just check out customer examples and prepare to have your mind blown. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, how could I possibly reach that level of panache, of design perfection? I don't even know what a top-level domain is. Never fear. There is an entire ecosystem of help guides on Squarespace to get you sorted. There is the Help Center, which we've gone through in detail before, but did you know about the Squarespace forums, the webinars, full of real-life people with real-life answers to all of your burning questions? And as if that wasn't enough, did you know that Bjork uses Squarespace? Bjork has her own Squarespace site. Bjork has graced us with her digital presence. Bjork has created her own mycelium-inspired template, which is beautiful and mushroomy and strange, and which you yourself can use with all of the easy-wizzy Squarespace features you know and love. just with a bit of that Bjork magic. I cannot possibly sell this any harder. Oh, actually, I can. Did you know that you can get all of this inspirational energy and 10% off your first purchase of a Squarespace website or domain? Just head to squarespace.com/TaliesinEvitel or use code TaliesinEvitel, or just click the link in the description and you too could be among the greats of website design. Like me. And, okay, Bjork. That's squarespace.com/TaliesinEvitel.
I have a concern about player housing and the first impression that it's going to make. I've been lucky enough to play 2 different builds of WoW housing now. I'm here to tell you straight up, it's awesome. It blows every single expectation of the system out of the water in just the scope of its decor placement and room decoration alone. No one thought WoW would be able to achieve anything like what we are getting with housing. And that's even before you mention the new zones and the neighborhoods and the private neighborhoods. This is all brilliant. It's going to get more brilliant with every addition to the catalog and feature list over the coming years. 1,000,000 out of 10. Thank you, honestly. So why am I concerned? Well, the builds I've played have been housing as I'd expect many of us will experience it in Midnight, with all the different types and size of room unlocked, a good healthy catalogue of decor items to choose from, and a very generous interior item limit to play with. And I do think this will be very representative of the early expansion experience. But what about the pre-expansion experience? Because for probably millions of players, their first 1, 2, maybe 3 months of housing play won't be at the beginning of Midnight. It will be in patch 11.2.7 during early access to housing from pre-ordering Midnight. And I think there is going to be awesome things about this. Those months are going to be a joyous collectathon of going to complete old quests and achievements for decor items, farming old dungeons and raids, buying stuff from the housing vendor in Legion Remix, maybe crafting stuff? Maybe? Or maybe the crafting portion of housing, which is huge, won't be coming until the Midnight launch proper. Not ideal, but understandable if that's the case. My concern, though, is with endeavors and player progress. Because housing is something that, initially at least, players will level up at least a certain amount. That one player progress panel that we've seen in a blue post basically shows a renown track which awards housing items, but also new room shapes and sizes and interior decor limit. And this renown bar is apparently progressed via monthly neighborhood endeavors, which are basically traveler's log, the same kind of everyday activities filling the bar. But I'm thinking it is very unlikely that this renown track will be activated in early access though, right? I mean, can you imagine the shit show if early access players didn't just get to play housing a month or 2 in advance, but got to unlock a whole renown track before your average Midnight enjoyer even sets foot through the door? But then, if these things aren't unlockable in early access, that means that the options players have in their early access building fun could potentially be way more limited than we'd really like. At the very least, you wouldn't have this room, you wouldn't have these items, and that's just the single screenshot that we've seen. And since, in my experience, one of the most joyous parts of housing is the freedom that players have, I'm concerned that early access players, who are the players, don't forget, whose opinion of housing and reaction to it are going to set the tone in the public consciousness, could potentially get a less than ideal first impression of housing because of those limits imposed. I'm basically worried that initially housing is a system designed to be leveled, and the leveling won't be enabled. How's that? I'm probably fretting over nothing here because the system is robust and exciting enough even without that leveling dimension, I'm sure. I just worry because I'm a warrior, ask anyone.
I also have a concern about player housing: lumber. The new player housing specific crafting material that seemingly all player housing crafts will need alongside their other ingredients and reagents. So far, we know nothing else about lumber apart from this screenshot of a guy chopping stuff down from a Gamescom slide. So, is it a gathering profession? Does it take up a specific profession slot, or will everyone be able to chop down trees? Will there be a profession progress tree? Will there be different types of lumber in different zones or expansion continents? The fact that one of the crafting slides we saw in a blue post months ago specifies ironwood lumber, as in from the ironwood trees found in Feralus and Fellwood, would suggest this would be indeed the case. Will lumber be bind on pickup, like Artisan's Acuity, account bound, or completely tradable? Will the new transmog system allow me to have a fruity little lumberjack outfit that automatically appears when I'm chopping down trees? All questions questions I have that could easily turn into concerns if I don't get the right answers.
The 3 opening raids. Did you know that Midnight launches with not just 1 raid in Season 1, but 3? And yes, granted, it's the same overall amount of bosses spread over 3 different instances, but that's 3 whole raids, okay? I'm going with 3, it sounds better. And obviously, for the most part, I love this idea because I love it when WoW tries anything new, basically, particularly if those ideas have improving story delivery at their heart, which I feel this one probably does. Having the main Voidstorm raid and the Harandar one-shot open in the first week of the season before the story climax of the March on the Sunwell a couple of weeks after has the potential to be an epic moment of storytelling, but it also has the potential to really spoil momentum for the new expansion. Because raids are one of the things that we look forward to the most. They're one of the main features of World of Warcraft, certainly from the outside. You only have to look at the numbers that WoW gets on Twitch when there's a new raid and Race to World First for proof of that. It's not the first time that WoW has had multiple raid instances opening up in the same tier, but it is the first time in the modern era with the way that WoW is consumed by loads of people now. So the Midnight Triad of raids approach, though definitely exciting, though definitely full of potential, is worrying just because of how many unknowns there are. Apart from anything, what will the structure be exactly? Will we be allowed to enter the final raid if we haven't completed the first 2? Will we be allowed to enter the Harandar raid if we haven't completed Voidstorm? And I don't like thinking about things in terms of the Race to World First, but really, what effect is it going to have on the Race to World First? Seriously though, I don't know. This is a concern I have which I kind of refuse to be anything apart from quietly optimistic about because I want it to work so much. I love to see a risk paying off, and I really, really hope this one does. And I think that's about it for my concerns, really. Oh no, wait, here's one. This is a really personal one, okay? But I really, really hope that we don't see much of Arthas in this expansion. And I know, Arthas is awesome, Arthas is amazing, we should definitely get Henry Cavill to play Arthas in the World of Warcraft movie, even though he's like 30 years too old. All of this is true, it's just I would really like it if just for once we could go, like, 1 whole expansion without having any Arthas stuff at all, just to see what it's like. Unfortunately, it feels pretty likely that in Midnight, we probably can't, since the entire recent history of Silvermoon and most of the people that still live in Silvermoon is kind of unavoidably linked to the Scourge.
But why do you not want to have any Arthas in the story? Like, do you have anything against Arthas? Like, if it makes sense lore-wise, why is this a problem? To get more backstory on the Arthas thing, maybe the Sylvanas, the Windrunners, like, I don't know. Could even fill in some pieces of information that we haven't gotten yet. It is just, if they throw him in there just to be like, hey, look, Arthas is in the game, please come play our game, then it's a bad thing. If it makes sense lore-wise, why is it a bad thing?
Invasion that Arthas led on Silvermoon. Not to mention the fact we know Sylvanas is coming back in this expansion, and her story is pretty much wound up with his too. Basically what I'm saying is, I don't think this is going to be the Arthas-free expansion that I want it to be. Which is a shame, isn't it? Or maybe not. I mean, Blizz do have bills to pay, and there's no better way of paying their bills than with this guy. I'd still just like 1 expansion without him, that's all though. But what do you think? Not about Arthas, I know what you think about Arthas. What are your biggest concerns around Midnight? Do you agree with any of the worries we mentioned? Or do you have whole new ones? There's plenty of others we could have put in this video, like the prey system and how that's going to impact the open world, how much of player housing is going to be stuck behind the cash shop, all those new UI updates, the niggling, nagging dread I feel about the inevitable Xalatath fight and probably death, and how early in the expansion that could turn out to be, the fact that in 11.2.5, Blizz have started to show signs that they may just be slipping back into bad old time gating habits. There is plenty to be worried about, and so help me, I fully intend to worry about all of it as much as I can. So thanks for joining us today. If you like this video, don't thank us, thank our patrons who give their actual real life money to make all of our work happen. And seriously, patrons, as always, thank you, sincerely, because without you, there would be a whole lot less Taliesin and Evertel. If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. And remember, my name is Bijou. No, my name is Taliesin from me and Evertel. Until next time, cheerio.
Alright, good video. As per usual, I haven't really seen many TNE videos live on stream, and I haven't really seen many of their videos recently either, but I did like this one. I will say I don't agree with many of their concerns, by the way. I feel like they're just there for the video's purpose. And also, the one that I agree with is the raid. I think the raid, although it's like, I like what they're doing here, Blizzard in this case, but it could be so weird for the Race to World First, man. And I just really wish that they would look into maybe doing a global release for the raids. Because they keep saying that, oh, we can't, oh, the people in North America are too used to Tuesdays being their reset days now, man. So we would mess with the culture. I'm just sitting here like, bro, I don't think anybody really cares when they're, like, which day it's resetting for them. Sure, Wednesday is reset day, Tuesdays is the reset day. Make it global. Why not? It's such a massive W. They would be absolutely farming W's by doing it. Either way, once again, good video.